The man who attracted 10 times as much in 60 days. In order to obtain what we want, when and where we want it, we must continuously and persistently affirm our oneness with the thing we want. We must be like the lily of the field, which toils not, neither does it spin. But Solomon, in all his glory, was not arrayed like one of them. Side by side with the lily is the rose, the geranium and other flowers, the weeds, the grass, perhaps many different kinds of vegetables are also growing in the garden nearby. Close at hand is the forest and the fruit orchard, with their many different kinds of trees and varied fruits. All these are growing in the same ground, watered by the same rains and dews, and kissed by the same sunshine, breathing the same air, and yet each draws to itself air, water, dew and sunshine, which goes to make its particular kind. And side by side in this beautiful world of ours lives the man who has reached out into the formless energy and with his consciousness materialized the wealth of the universe. Also, the other man who has reached out into the same formless energy and materialized the lack and poverty. One has gathered the flowers, the other the weeds. Why? We have always dismissed such questions with the answer because it is natural to them. But what makes it natural to them? Jesus said that when ye have the faith of a grain of mustard seed, ye shall remove mountains. We have never fully realized just what this word faith really meant in this connection. We have never looked upon the mustard seed, the lily and the other things outside of the kingdom of man as having intelligence or mind or manifesting faith, because the quality of their intelligence or mind and the action thereof was so different from the quality and action of what we called intelligence or mind in man. But now, understanding these different planes of consciousness in which man manifests, we can begin to see and understand how the things of the lesser kingdoms, the mineral, vegetable and animal, may also manifest on and become common to at least one of these planes of consciousness, as in the physical or instinctive plane. The intelligence or consciousness in the atoms of the lily, mustard seed, etc., operating under the law of harmonious attraction, vibrating at a rate peculiar to themselves, send out their conscious call into this one formless energy. And everywhere, both on the seen and the unseen side of life, those atoms which are attuned to such call, like the wireless telegraph, receiving messages here, understand and obey and come rushing to answer it. There is no doubt, no fear, no worry, no anxiety in the consciousness of the lily or the mustard seed as to what result will occur, and the call is sent out with the utmost faith, knowing that it will be answered. It makes no difference how strong the call of the weed, the rose, the turnip, the cabbage, the apple, the corn, and everything else may be. It does not disturb the lily, nor in any way distract its attention from its own call. The lily never throws up its hands nor say, "Oh dear me, there's no use of me trying to get any life or sustenance where all these other things, bigger and stronger and more powerful than I, are calling for it." It never says that the big trees or the vegetable kingdom have gobbled up everything and we little fellows do not have any chance anymore. It never says, "I have done this all my life and still I am only a lily instead of a rose, but holding continuously and persistently to the vision of the thing it wants to be, its call goes out morning, noon and night, persistently and everlastingly for the thing it wants, and in response to its call, the tiny rootlet creeps down into the earth, and the stem peeps up into the sunshine from out the clods, and little by little, day by day, does the thing for which it continuously calls materialize in form. When we learn to have the faith of the mustard seed, the lily, etc., that is when we have established in our lives the fixed habit of filling our thought world with the thought, the vision, the image of the thing we want, then that thing will begin to materialize in form around us, like the lily and the mustard seed materializes their conscious call. This faith, this consciousness can be developed in every life, and somewhere down the line of our cosmic journey, we one and all will develop it. Some will succeed in doing so in this incarnation, perhaps in a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, while others may take many incarnations in which to develop it. It is for each life to say how quickly the work will be accomplished for itself. Every day we meet persons who, upon being taught these things, will say that they have all this great faith, that they believe all these wonderful truths and practice them, yet they do not achieve success. Why? In all such cases, I have found one of two things to be true. Either their understanding of faith was like that of the old woman, who prayed long and earnestly one night that God might remove the high hill at the back of her house in order that she might have a better view, and upon arising the next morning she looked out of the window and finding the hill still there exclaimed, "Just as I expected." Occasionally, however, we do find those who undoubtedly have the faith and belief and practice them with great understanding and yet do not succeed. In such cases, I have always found that an interior inharmony existed. Sometimes it had existed for so long, and the persons had gotten so used to it that at first they honestly denied its existence. But a deeper study into their consciousness told the story of their interior inharmony, through which they generated the negative energy that prevented them from materializing the thing they wanted. I have had many cases of patients and students who were strong, powerful creators, but who had reached off period in their existence where it seemed impossible for them to materialize any of their constructive creations. They materialized their destructive ones fast enough, but their constructive creations seemed impossible of actualization. An examination into the consciousness and habits of such persons showed that their work was done under more or less of a strain, that they were invariably anxious or tense, rarely ever relaxing, with the results that they generated an inharmonious energy, constructed an inharmonious wall around them in which they were enclosed like a shell. This prevented the things that they had created and which stood just outside of this wall or shell from entering their atmosphere and materializing in form. Just as soon as this wall of inharmony could be dissipated and dissolved through treatments for harmony, and the patients taught how to relate with the harmonious currents through deep breathing and proper affirmations, the things which had been created before in their thought world began to materialize in form around them. A woman came to me once who said that for 6 months she had been answering an average of 20 advertisements a week for a position as a stenographer, but had failed to receive one reply to all her applications. Just think of the kind of consciousness which could send out over 500 letters to people who wanted a stenographer, which was the kind of services she had to give, but yet could not relate with one reply and was not even given an opportunity to demonstrate her ability. She said that when she sent out her answers that she knew it would not do any good, and then she added most convincingly, and it didn't. Her trouble was that while she had built a position for herself in her consciousness, she did not know it and was afraid to really believe in her own ability to create for herself the thing she wanted. There could only be one result from her holding the image that it would not do any good, and she got that result. I told her to continue doing exactly the same thing she had been doing, viz. Answering the advertisements for stenographer, and to send out each letter with the thought and affirmation that it was the one which would connect her with the position she had built for herself. In less than 1 month, she had 6 offers of a position and came to me to ask which one she should take. I told her to take whichever one appealed to her the most. She said the one she wanted did not pay as much as she desired. I told her to take it anyway, as it was evident that was all the salary she had so far created for herself, and that by taking it she was getting all she had attracted, that the position would give her work while she was creating a larger salary for herself in her consciousness. About 3 months afterwards, she came to me and said that she was still at the same salary and that she had been informed the position never had paid any more, so she would have to either make her employer pay her more or get another position. I told her that when she had created the increase in her own consciousness and then let go so the position could materialize, that either her employer would voluntarily give her the increase, or else someone would offer her another position at the increased salary she desired, that until she did create it for herself in her own consciousness, she could not get and hold such increase. I told her that every time she thought of the question of salary, she should see herself, that is, imagine or image herself, drawing the salary she desired, and that in the accordance with the continuity and persistency with which she did this, would she materialize it. In about a month, she informed me that her employer had voluntarily raised her salary to the amount she desired. A man came to me one day and said that his business had been rotten for several months and that he had to raise $2,000 with which to pay some bills and back salaries of employees or go to the wall. That he had about $2,500 owing him, for which he was going to sue the parties unless they paid at once. I told him that unless he had created the money for himself in his own thought world, it would be useless for him to sue, as he would not get it, and that when he had created it in his thought world, it would not be necessary for him to sue anyway. I also said to him that there was plenty of money in the world, also plenty right here in New York, and there was no reason, except his own ignorance, why he should not relate with and attract to himself all he wanted or needed, and that he could have enough with which to pay all his bills and more with which to carry on his business, but that he would have to create it for himself before he could get it. I told him to fill his imagination with the image, the thought, the idea that he had several $1,000s now, that he was free from all financial worry and had all the money now he needed or could use, and to hold persistently to that image, and every time the thought or image came into his field of consciousness, which in any way dimmed or impaired that image, to at once displace it with the new image I had given him. He had formed the habit of imaging lack and that he was now to change that habit and form the new one of imaging abundance of supply and his harmonious oneness with it. That as soon as this new image had displaced his old one, he would materialize the abundance under the law of harmonious attraction. In less than 1 week, he returned with this story. Upon leaving my office after the previous interview, he had gone back to his place of business, but had been there only a short time when an entire stranger came in and asked for an estimate of some work he wanted done. Upon returning for the estimate a few days afterwards, my client was given the work, which amounted to over $9,000, and also given an advance cash payment of $4,500 on account of the contract. In reporting the case, my client said that in all his experience in the business, covering some 20 years, he had never heard of anyone receiving a cash payment simply on an estimate and before any work had been done. This payment enabled my client to pay all his bills and left him with some ready cash as a working capital. As the result of following my instructions, this man told me he took in over $20,000 in cash within 60 days from the time he came to me, although he had taken in less than $2,000 in the 6 months preceding that visit.